Hello, Psych 101 students. We have reached the final learning objective of Module 1. Learning Objective 10 deals with study skills. So here you are going to be reading pages 6 to 9 of the textbook. You're going to be reading pages 3 to 4, I think it's actually 3 to 5 of the study guide. And you'll be reading the Scientific American article that's in our main menu on Brightspace. I don't really cover this very thoroughly. Um, I think I try to leave it to students to do on their own, but I'll give you a few points along the way here. This is the part that's in the textbook, pages 6 to 9, and this is kind of what you want to concentrate on. This learning to learn impact model, um, and so each of these the letters in impact stands for something. Let me just go through them quickly here. I is improving. This is about having a growth mindset, knowing that if you anything that you work at, you'll get better at. Even if if it feels hard at the beginning, it's like first time you learn to play a musical instrument, or it seems almost impossible. But growth mindset is just understanding if I keep working at this, it'll get easier and easier. Monitoring is the M. This is about self-regulated learning, which means like setting goals for yourself, planning your studying rather than just diving into it. Like try to work on a plan. Am I going to read the text first or watch the video lectures first, or am I going to do learning objectives one at a time or all at once? And also things like checking your progress along the way. So it's kind of like you're looking in at your own studying, and controlling it. P is for practicing. Practice makes perfect. And let me go through to the next slide for this. This is a study that's shown in the text about practicing. There are 4 conditions that students were placed in the study. In the first condition, they were given a word with a definition, and they just studied it once, which meant they just read it over once. So this would be like reading the textbook and doing nothing else, kind of. A week later, you could see that they did not do very well at recalling the words in the list, having just read them all once. The recall once condition was they would read the the word and the definition, and then they would actually have to type the definition out right away. So it's obviously more advanced than just reading. When you type it, that's going to help with your learning, and you can see they do a lot better than the group that just read the words and definitions. The third condition is called repeated maths, and what they had to do was they read the word and the definition, then they typed it out 3 times in a row. Well, you can see that they didn't improve from the previous group that typed it once. They actually, basically they're equal. I mean, it looks like they're slightly lower, but you would call this equal. They're close enough. So it had no improvement. There was no improvement by, retyping it over, 3 times over. So just repeating something doesn't cause more learning. Now, the fourth group, you can see that they did way better at recalling words. They are the repeated spaced group. And what they did was they read the definition and they had to type it out 3 times, at different intervals spaced apart. So when they first read the word and the definition, I think they probably typed it once, and then they went on to study other words and definitions. And then at some point they went back, okay, do I remember those earlier words? And they would have to try to type out the words, the definitions again. And then like later they did the same thing. So they spaced out their like self-testing. And you could see the improvement was tremendous over all the other groups. And so what you want to do is this is often called distributed practice, meaning that you're testing yourself at different times. And the more times you do that, you it might be using something like flashcards, or it might be whatever, just trying to remember things and write out answers. Like or doing practice tests or something like that, the more times you test yourself, it really does improve learning. It kind of helps to solidify the memories. And they were performing at 80%, where the first group that just read the stuff, they're around 1%. It was like, okay, let me go back. That was the P. A is, what is A? Oh, attending. And this refers to selective attention, focusing your attention on the task and not multitasking. Multitasking has been shown in studies to be related to negative effects on attention and on memory. So if you're serious, you don't multitask when you study. Right? C is connecting. This is using cues to help your memory. So when you learn something new, try to connect it to something that you already know. And this will give you a connect, what's called a cue. Like a cue is very much like a clue, actually. Like if you connect two things together, then you can find the thing you're looking for by remembering what the part of knowledge that was already in your mind. So, anyways, it connect new information to old. And finally, T is thinking deeply. And thinking deeply is doing something with the information that you've learned. And this is known as elaboration. It's a strategy. And one good example is your discussion board coming up on Monday. On Monday, you need to write about positive and negative correlations and come up with your own examples. And that is elaboration. I mean, you're not just remembering what a positive or negative correlation is, you're actually doing something with the knowledge. That's going to really solidify the memory. It's one of the best memory techniques is to, not just read things or try to memorize them, but actually use the knowledge in some way. Okay, I'm going to move on. We talked about this already. This is the part from the study guide, pages 3 to 5 of the study guide. And I'm not going over each of these points. I just made this list for you. It's kind of a summary of the major topics in the study guide. So you can see that there's already some overlap. This talks about distributed practice. That was like the massed practice that we saw in that graph. And they talk about self-testing. Okay. Anyways, and don't multitask is on here. So you can see that there's some overlap to the list that we just looked at. And they also point out some things not to do, like highlighting or underlining, which have been shown to be pretty useless for learning. And then we go to the Scientific American article. And once again, I'm just giving you a list. You need to read what each of these things are on your own. But you can see some of them we've already talked about distributed practice. Once again, is something that works, testing yourself at intervals. And once again, self-testing is on here, like it was on the other lists. And they're also pointing out that highlighting doesn't work, or just simply rereading something. If you're not doing anything with the information, it doesn't usually matter how many times you just read it over. Anyways, I thought I'd give you these lists, even though I'm not specifically going through them, but they should help you organize your knowledge, and you can use these to test yourself later. Do I know what each of these terms are, as you get ready for the test? So this will conclude module 1. And I am away for Thursday till Sunday, and I will touch base with everyone on Monday when I return. Have a great weekend.